you could dunk on one NBA player, who would it be?
It'd probably be like LeBron, up for debate for the greatest of all time. He's personally not
Cooper Flagg has never been shy about saying LeBron James isn't his GOAT. That much wasn't surprising. But his latest comments took everyone by surprise. He shared a brutally honest opinion that helps explain why so many NBA players have had issues with LeBron over the years. So why exactly do some players dislike LeBron James? According to Cooper, it didn't start recently, it began the moment LeBron entered the NBA. In 2003, LeBron joined the league as an 18-year-old with more hype than any prospect since Michael Jordan. Expectations were overwhelming, the media spotlight was constant, and the pressure was enormous. But what fans often don't realize is that from day one, some of LeBron's own teammates were quietly rooting against him.
Well, I knew he was the real thing when he came in. It was just a matter of time to when he was going to pick up and when he was going to actually...
Silas, LeBron's coach during his rookie season, revealed that several Cavaliers players were jealous of the spotlight LeBron received right from the beginning. Their egos couldn't handle how quickly the franchise was shifting its focus toward an 18-year-old. Silas remembered urging the team to support a potential future legend, but many simply weren't willing to accept him. This wasn't just typical rookie treatment, it was personal and deeply rooted in insecurity. Even before the 2003 NBA draft, Carlos Boozer dismissed LeBron's potential, insisting the team already had strong players at his position. That skepticism set the tone. Years later, LeBron would look back and admit that while his teammates didn't directly hate him, he definitely felt unwelcome. The tension was subtle but constant, as if the players around him didn't want him there. Veterans like Eric Snow, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, and Jeff McInnes weren't openly hostile, but they weren't supportive either, likely put off by the non-stop media hype and pressure surrounding a teenager. One of the most obvious signs of this strain was with Ricky Davis, the team's top scorer before LeBron joined. Davis still wanted to be the offensive leader, but only 22 games into that season, he was traded to Boston, a clear sign that LeBron's rising influence had begun shifting the team dynamics.
In being great and learning the NBA game, and him coming in at an early age, I don't think he was ready fully his rookie year as he is now.
Ricky Davis later reflected on that era with brutal honesty, explaining how the NBA once stood for "no boys allowed," and LeBron's arrival completely upended that standard. As an 18-year-old phenom, LeBron didn't just join the league, he disrupted it. His presence shook the foundation of a veteran-driven culture and made many uncomfortable. That discomfort didn't stay in Cleveland, it traveled with LeBron, manifesting in different forms through teammates, opponents, and media narratives. He wasn't merely a rookie, he was a cultural shift, someone who challenged the league's established pecking order by his very existence. But why would grown, seasoned athletes feel so threatened by a teenager? The answer lies in the fragile ecosystem of pro sports, where ego, identity, and survival instincts constantly clash. At the time, the Cavaliers roster was full of veterans who were used to being important pieces of the puzzle. When LeBron showed up as the #1 pick with the nickname, the chosen one, already etched into his brand, it wasn't just intimidating, it was destabilizing. Players who had spent years fighting for relevance suddenly found themselves treated like side characters. The tension wasn't just about shot attempts or playing time, it was existential. LeBron's arrival redefined the team's hierarchy and put the spotlight squarely on someone who hadn't yet earned his stripes. The non-stop media coverage made it worse. While everything LeBron did became headline news, his teammates, some of whom had sacrificed and battled for years, were reduced to supporting roles. The resentment wasn't just understandable, it was inevitable. More importantly, this early resentment didn't fade away. It morphed and grew with teasing and revealing critiques about what it was really like to play with.
The key matchup was him and Paul George. Cool, y'all got that. So we in transition. George Hill run to the corner, I run with George Hill, Paul George stop at the wing and shoot the three. And Brown guard him. Okay. That's all I say on the court. So we get back to the bench, I'm like, nigga, losing, all this we doing, we gotta stop acting like just play.
You might assume that winning 2 championships together would cement a lasting brotherhood, but Mario Chalmers' experience alongside LeBron James painted a much more complex picture. As the Miami Heat starting point guard during LeBron's prime, Chalmers later revealed just how difficult it was to share the court with someone so overpowering. In a 2017 interview, he admitted, "It can be tough playing with LeBron sometimes just because he's such a dominant player. Is the coach going to get everybody else involved, or is he going to let Bron decide when he wants to get everybody else involved?" That comment exposed a deeper truth about the team's internal hierarchy, one where LeBron's control often left his teammates uncertain of their roles. But the story took a more explosive turn in 2025 when an old video resurfaced and went viral. In it, Chalmers described a tense playoff game where he confronted LeBron, calling him mentally soft and urging him to stop acting weak and just play. The confrontation escalated quickly, with LeBron clearly offended and the temperature in the locker room rising. What stood out most, however, was how Chalmers later framed the moment. He didn't see it as insubordination but as leadership, holding his teammate accountable in a high-stakes situation. Still, the tension couldn't be ignored. Beneath the banners and big wins, the team often operated under a strain fueled by one player's overwhelming influence and the quiet unease it created in the locker room.
Best player out here. Stop being a bitch and go play. And he took offense to that. And it was kind of like, hey, you just jumped at me? Like, me?
You didn't call him a bitch.
Yeah, he jumped down.
I didn't call him a bitch. I said stop playing like a bitch.
Okay.
Same thing Udoka said, he got mad about that. We all know this is Bron's trigger.
This wasn't just some heat-of-the-moment locker room exchange, it was a teammate, right in the middle of a crucial playoff stretch, directly questioning LeBron James's mental toughness and leadership. And the fact that Mario Chalmers later felt comfortable publicly recounting that moment shows it wasn't a one-off conflict, it pointed to a larger pattern of friction behind the scenes. But if Chalmers' comments raised eyebrows, Kendrick Perkins took things to an entirely different level. Once one of LeBron's closest friends, going all the way back to their AAU days with the Oakland Soldiers in 7th grade, Perkins eventually became one of his harshest and most vocal critics. Their shared history included playing together during LeBron's return to Cleveland in the 2014-15 and 2017-18 seasons, a time when their friendship might have been expected to strengthen. Instead, that familiarity only set the stage for deeper frustration. The tipping point came in 2024 when LeBron, in an interview during NBA Finals week, expressed regret that he wasn't still playing alongside Kyrie Irving. The twist? LeBron and the Lakers weren't even in the finals. Perkins exploded on NBA Today, calling LeBron out for hijacking the narrative and making it about himself. He accused LeBron of staying in the headlines through calculated media manipulation, criticizing him not just for what he's from friendship to public fallout.
Here we go again.
Here we go again,
Weaseling his way into somebody else's moment. Like, let somebody else, like, this is not about you. Your team is at home. This is about the Mavs and the Celtics. But yet you're so mad and disappointed that you're not Kyrie Irving.
But Perkins didn't stop there. On the Road Trippin' podcast, he spoke emotionally about how his falling out with LeBron had affected him, both personally and professionally. He said their broken friendship weighed on him, especially because of their long history and past closeness. As a media figure, silence would have hurt his credibility. For Perkins, it was a tough choice between friendship and doing his job, and that choice left a lasting impact.
Right? And I'm gonna leave it at this. The one thing about it is this, bro. I have a job to do, okay? And I'm gonna do my job, and I'm not gonna let anybody persuade me to say something that I don't wanna say, right? I'm gonna critique everybody fairly. If you're doing well, I'm gonna give you your flowers. If I feel like you're on some bull, I'm gonna call you out.
The most powerful part of Perkins' criticism came when he shared that LeBron had unfollowed him on social media, and in response, Perkins blocked LeBron's number. He said, "He unfollowed me, and then I blocked him on my cell phone," showing how badly their friendship had been damaged by their public disagreements. But what stood out most was when Perkins finally spoke openly about the end of a friendship that had lasted for decades.
Bro, we go back since like 99, 2000. I don't need a 2000. Yeah, I don't need a phone call from Rich Paul, bro, to speak on your behalf. Like, you got my phone number. You do. Like, if you really feel some type of way, dog, just hit me. And if I feel like I was wrong on something, I apologize, and then we move on.
It wasn't just basketball analysis or media criticism. It was about a friendship broken by LeBron's need to control the narrative and his inability to accept criticism from those closest to him. To see how deep some players' resentment runs, look at Joakim Noah. The former Chicago Bulls center didn't just dislike LeBron, he seemed to hate what LeBron stood for.
He was arrogant and he's a stunner. There was moments where, you're down 20 points, you're shooting a free throw with your left hand, you dancing all over the court. I wasn't feeling it. So I let it be known that I wasn't feeling
Noah's rivalry with LeBron intensified during LeBron's Miami Heat era, when the Heat and Bulls were bitter Eastern Conference rivals. Their matchups, including the 2011 Eastern Conference Finals where Miami beat Chicago 4-1, were intense. But the feud went beyond competition. Noah openly criticized LeBron's personality, his flashy demeanor, and what he believed was favorable treatment from officials. In a 2010 playoff series against the Cavaliers, Noah famously said, "I'm from Chicago. We don't dance. Cleveland sucks." His resentment was rooted in a clash of values, Noah's gritty, no-nonsense style versus LeBron's polished, media-fueled image. As a fan favorite in Chicago, Noah viewed LeBron's move to form a super team in Miami as a betrayal of the league's competitive integrity.
People trying to make it like, yo, this is our side. Like, okay, that's just you're looking at it wrong. This is competition. This is where you represent. I don't give a fuck about what you represent. This is Chicago Bulls. Like that's all it was.
Years later, Noah looked back on his rivalry with LeBron, and even with time, the intensity of his emotions remained clear. He spoke about the frustration of facing LeBron's dominance, how the officiating always seemed to favor him, and how that only fueled his competitive fire. But if you want to understand the depth of animosity LeBron has faced, you have to examine his long-standing feud with Paul Pierce. This wasn't just a rivalry, it was personal and bitter, rooted in an incident from a 2004 preseason game when, according to Kendrick Perkins, Pierce spat toward the Cavaliers bench with LeBron nearby. That single act nearly led to a locker room altercation and set the tone for the years that followed. Pierce's disdain didn't stop there. In 2020, he left LeBron off his top 5 all-time players list, picking Jordan, Kareem, Russell, Magic, and Kobe instead. He repeatedly criticized LeBron's leadership and legacy, arguing that LeBron never built a team from scratch like other greats. When asked about their relationship, Perkins didn't hesitate to say Pierce and LeBron genuinely hate each other and have no communication. This was no longer just about basketball, it was personal, and it had been that way for over 20 years. Today, that pattern of conflict has only grown more complicated. Even with all of LeBron's accomplishments, controversy continues to follow him. The latest backlash centers on how he's managed his son Bron's path to the NBA. What could have been an inspiring father-son story has instead sparked accusations of nepotism and questions about fairness in pro sports. Even Stephen A. Smith, one of LeBron's most vocal defenders, finally snapped. During a heated segment on First Take, Smith delivered one of his strongest critiques of LeBron's choices as a father and public figure.
Really trying to be as respectful as I possibly can be towards LeBron James. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad.
Smith openly urged LeBron to stop pushing Bron's NBA career, saying, "I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad." This wasn't just typical criticism, it came across as a heartfelt appeal from someone who believed LeBron's influence had undermined the idea of fair competition. But Smith wasn't alone. Gilbert Arenas also called out the special treatment Bronny received, particularly in the G League with the South Bay Lakers, where he was initially allowed to play only home games. Arenas sarcastically remarked, "Because LeBron James is my daddy," suggesting Bronny's chances came from his father's name, not his own merit. The controversy grew louder when Colin Cowherd delivered a harsh critique of Bronny's NBA readiness, making it clear that he believed Bronny hadn't earned his spot on talent alone.
NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player, because otherwise you'll upset the king. So he has a good G League game, and they get him to the Lakers, and they want to play him. And remember, he is a 6'2" guard that's a non-point guard. He's 6'2", got cooked on defense, and has not scored in 38 minutes on the floor.
Even more impactful was Kwame Brown's criticism, which came from a place of personal experience. Having endured heavy pressure and public scrutiny during his own early years in the NBA, Brown offered a passionate take on the Bronny controversy. He highlighted how countless skilled young players are being passed over simply because they lack a famous last name, arguing that the league has shifted away from a focus on pure talent. Brown's message wasn't just about Bronny, it was a larger warning about how fame and influence are warping the core values of fairness and merit in professional basketball.
I wonder what Gilbert Arenas and those guys are gonna say now. Is that what we gonna do? ESPN is highlighting this boy one basket on ESPN, and then they wonder why people on YouTube and everybody talking about it. It ain't hatred, it's stupidity, it's insanity, and it don't make sense. You want me to uplift one black man because he black and his daddy black.
Paul Pierce didn't hold back, calling out what he saw as hypocrisy in LeBron's messaging. He pointed out that LeBron had spent the bulk of his career relentlessly chasing championships, forming super teams in Miami, returning to Cleveland with a handpicked roster, and later joining the Lakers to win again. You can't spend your whole career chasing rings and then complain when people judge you by them, Pierce said, cutting straight to the contradiction. His critique echoed a growing sentiment in the basketball world, that LeBron was now trying to shift the narrative because the title chase had gotten harder. With stars like Giannis and Jokic taking center stage, critics accused LeBron of moving the goalposts to protect his legacy. What could have been a thoughtful reflection on greatness instead came off to many as self-serving, deepening the rift between him and those who see through the calculated nature of his public statement.
Well, there has to be a measuring stick. And why do we play the game? You know, is it for the fame? Is it for the fortune? Because as a kid, you played to win. And you were always measured on how much you won. And sports will always be that way.
Pierce doubled down by highlighting LeBron's 2010 move to Miami, where he joined forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, as undeniable proof that winning championships had always been his top priority. To Pierce, this wasn't just strategy, it was identity. LeBron had publicly embraced not one, not two, title ambitions, openly tying his legacy to rings. So now, years later, to criticize ring culture felt like revisionist history. For Pierce and a growing number of critics, the issue wasn't just inconsistency, it was timing. LeBron seemed eager to change the rules only after the pursuit of titles became less certain. In their eyes, it wasn't reflection, it was damage control.
Now, I remember LeBron left Cleveland to chase rings in Miami. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't that about trying to get a ring?
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Right? Because he was trying to fulfill his legacy.
Stephen A. Smith, still feuding with LeBron over the Bronny situation, piled on with his own brutal assessment.
Who's devalued LeBron? See, that's the BS that we have to stop letting him and his camp get.
Lots of people have.
Once again, no, excuse me. When we talk about the GOAT, because he's not in a lot of people's eyes. It's like
Stephen A. Smith, who was already frustrated with LeBron over the Bronny situation, responded sharply, stating that LeBron had manipulated the system to benefit his son while more deserving players were overlooked. Interview 16. Stephen A. Smith dismissed LeBron's rejection of ring culture as meaningless, pointing out that LeBron's own career decisions contradict his words. Smith emphasized that moves to Miami, then back to Cleveland, and later to the Lakers were all made in pursuit of championships, making his current stance against ring culture come across as pure hypocrisy.
Everybody universally recognizes him as one of the top 3 players in the history of basketball. What the hell else do you want? A diaper and a bib? What do you want? Do you want us to feed you some applesauce or something? My God, what more can you do? Other than saying he's not.
Even Charles Barkley, whose name LeBron had included among the great players who never won a championship, expressed frustration with how LeBron handles criticism and controversy. Things took an even stranger turn during the 2025 NBA All-Star Weekend, when LeBron's attitude drew criticism from unexpected voices. Kendrick Perkins, already in conflict with LeBron, found yet another reason to publicly call him out.
Mad about Braun not playing? No, I get it. He's 40. But I'm mad about how he went about it. And I'm also mad, like, put your damn uniform on, Braun. I mean, damn, you done messed up the whole damn picture. Put your damn uniform on. That's another thing. And it came off as him being selfish. It looked very selfish on his.
Perkins criticized LeBron when he showed up late to the NBA All-Star Weekend and then backed out of the game at the last minute, which prevented injury replacements like Norman Powell from getting a chance. The criticism wasn't just about his decision, but also about how he handled the situation, once again putting personal interest above the league and other players. The most surprising controversy came from MMA fighter Chael Sonnen. While LeBron was dealing with Bronny's heart issue, Sonnen accused him of using performance-enhancing drugs, EPO, and claimed they had the same doctor, suggesting a possible link between Bronny's health problem and LeBron's alleged EPO use. These accusations had no proof and were heavily criticized for their timing, but they showed how deep the hate runs in some circles. LeBron's most recent controversy is his conflict with the media. His argument with Stephen A. Smith escalated during a Lakers game, where LeBron went courtside to tell Smith to stop targeting Bronny. But it didn't end there. In March 2025, on the Pat McAfee Show, LeBron openly criticized ESPN anchors like Smith and Brian Windhorst, showing his attempt to control the media narrative and silence his critics. The people speaking against him are not just jealous rivals or old teammates, they're individuals who've worked with him, played against him, and observed him for decades. Their criticism isn't about his basketball skills but about his character, how he manages relationships, and his habit of putting personal benefit above the team and the sport. Whether it's Mario Chalmers questioning his mental toughness, Kendrick Perkins ending their friendship, Joakim Noah hating his personality, or Paul Pierce constantly attacking his legacy, the pattern is very clear. LeBron may be the king on the court, but in the locker room, among his peers, and across the basketball world, he has created a division that will be remembered long after he retires. The question isn't whether NBA players hate LeBron James, the evidence clearly says they do. The real question is whether that hate is justified, and after hearing from those who know him best, it's hard to say it's not.